Hello, everybody. This is Smokey Beardman, your old pal and vlogger, blogger, whatever you want to call me. Don't care. Uh, this episode is about something that these are stories about my life, things that have happened to me that truly scared the living crap out of me. That being said, I do have a friend standing by because I don't know what telling these stories might bring up, what might happen by me telling these stories. All I know is that I feel a little bit safer having somebody here. So I know there's going to be some skeptics, some people who say, "Oh, it's just your imagination," or this stuff, that stuff. Understandable. There's always going to be some kind of skeptic for any story that is unexplained. I understand this. I'm not going to fight against it. But I will tell my story to the best of my ability, and everything I say is exactly how I perceived it, exactly how I saw or felt things happen to me. That being said, I will just shoot straight into story number one. Now, this happened when I was about 5 or 6 years old. Now, you're going to sit there and say, "Oh, it's just a child's imagination." But to me, everything that happened was completely real. When I was growing up, I grew up in my grandparents' house. They had a three level house, upstairs, main level, and a basement. The basement, the entrance to it, ran along the outside wall. Now you had an entrance from the outside in the stairwell, and an entrance from the kitchen, came through the same way. And there was a door on either side. Now, inside and looking down into the basement, even in broad daylight, it could be noon on the sunniest day imaginable. There being windows on each side of the basement. You would think that you'd be able to look down there and see sunlight, be nice and bright. No, 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 no. Looking down through the doorway into the basement, you'd have this little half circle of light just past the doorway. And I don't mean much. It might have been a foot or 2 foot from the doorway itself. Everything beyond that was pitch black. I mean black. Like the blackest black you could think of. And there was nothing beyond that. It looked like the darkest void of deepest space. It was that black. Now, this day, my grandmother was downstairs doing laundry. And I went down there to look around because she had a bunch of boxes of my dad's old toys. And I was going down through there, looking to see what I could take up with me back to my bedroom, whatever I would be interested in, and, what I wanted to play with. I was 5 or 6 years old. Toys were the biggest thing to me. While I was down there, my grandmother went ahead and went upstairs. She told me to turn the light off behind me because they would get mad at me if I left the light on, which always made me feel safe. But every time I would turn the light off coming up from the basement, I always had this sense of being watched. Nothing really came of it, but I always had this sense of being watched. And I didn't like it. I felt like there was something right behind me every single time I turned those lights off. And I would book it upstairs. There's one particular day, my grandmother, I went down there. She was already down there, had the lights on. And I was down there searching through the toys. She went upstairs. I got done looking through the toys, didn't find anything particularly interesting, so I left them all there. But it was just me down there. I didn't feel anything wrong, so I turned the lights off. And as soon as the lights went off, I felt something watching me, just like I always do. Something right behind me, something I could not see. And I always felt this absolute sense of terror. Yeah, 5, 6 years old, pitch black, kid's gonna be scared. And I would agree with you. Except this one time, I went upstairs. I turned the lights off and I booked for those stairs. But as soon as I reached the stairs and started making my way up, something grabbed me around the ankle. Grabbed me, literally, grabbed me, and started pulling me back towards the darkness. And I panicked. I freaked out. I didn't look behind me because I didn't want to see whatever it was that was grabbing me. And I panicked and I tried. I fought as hard as I could to get up those stairs. After about 5 seconds of fighting, I finally made it and I went up those stairs. I turned around just to see whatever it was. And there was nothing there. There was nothing on the stairway my foot could get caught in. There was a couple of cans of paint on one side of the stairway. But I couldn't have got my foot caught in them. No friggin' way. I'd have to shove my foot into the handle of these cans of paint to be able to be caught like that. And I sure as heck didn't do that. After that, my grandparents got mad at me because I would refuse to go down to that basement. Even as a teenager, I refused to go into that basement when it was pitch black like that. They would have to go down there, and those lights would have to be on before I even would think of venturing down there. My next story is the night I went out and stayed on an island in the middle of a lake that is really close to my home. About a couple 100 feet away from my house was this lake. And me and my buddies, we've gone out there before. Nothing big about it. We'd gone out there and we intended to stay the night. You know, we smoked a little bit of pot, hung out, shot the shit. We had a couple cans of beer. Each one of us had at least one can of beer between, all of us. Nothing big. We ended up leaving because we got bored and, yeah. Well, a few weeks later, it was about maybe 10 o'clock at night. I was roughly around 14, 15 years old. I stole one of the, lakeside home owners' boats, the rowboat. Nothing expensive, and they did get it back. Pristine condition, nothing bad happened. But I stole one of their boats, and I rowed out to the island, fully intent on staying out there for the night, just because I wanted to say, hey, I did it. I got out there, set up my tent, made me a little bit of fire, had me a couple beers. I was, 15, 14, 15 years old, nothing big. And nothing bad happened. I was staying out there and night went by fine. I went to sleep. I have no idea what time it was I woke up, but the fire was dead. I mean, there was no light, nothing. And as I was laying there, I felt there was something else on the island besides me. I felt like there was something there. And I thought it's just got to be my imagination. Nothing like that. I mean, come on. I mean, who would think? I'm out there in the middle of the night. Nobody else is out there. No way of getting there without letting me know because there's only one beach up to the island that you could really get through. Anyway, any other way, you'd hear them breaking through the underbrush. And if somebody else was out there, they'd make a noise getting there. So I'm laying there. I just woke up, trying to get my senses about me, trying to figure out if it's daylight or not. I open my eyes, and I hear something wandering around my campsite. And this is a small island. And there's maybe like 50 feet of land one way, 20 feet of land the other way, roughly. I hear something walking around my campsite. And I froze. Nothing big, but I froze. Scared the crap out of me. So I laid there frozen, just frozen, until the noise finally died away. And I was finally able to get to sleep about an hour later. I wake up in the morning, getting ready to, pack down and head back out, try and get the boat back without being caught for having to take in it. It wasn't mine. But as I'm pulling the tent down, I notice these footprints around my campsite. More importantly, around my tent. And they looked like human footprints. So I thought, somebody got onto the island, saw that I was there, and whatnot. But what the strange thing is that there's these gouge marks, and there's only three of them at the head where the toes should be. There's these three gouge marks that looked like claws or talons or something. Needless to say, I never spent another night on that island. Now, a few years before that, this is something else that just came to me, and I need to tell this. It's a story of my dream of falling. Now, I'd gone to sleep. I'd been asleep for a little bit, and I was having this dream. Well, at some point in this dream, I was falling. I was falling from a great height. I mean, high up. Now, as I was falling, I saw the ground slowly coming up on me. And in my dream, it scared me. Right before I hit the ground, I woke up. But when I woke up, my bed shook. And I mean, shook hard. Like I literally fell on top of it. But I didn't feel myself land. I just felt the bed shake. And when it shook, I couldn't move. I literally could not move. I wanted to. I wanted to sit straight up. I wanted to get out of my bed. I could not move. It felt like I was being held in place. And it was at that point in time, outside my window, which was right here in, my vision sight, my line of vision, outside my window, I saw two very bright, glowing dots that I can only take as eyes. I laid there, even after they disappeared, laid there, wanting to scream for my grandparents. Couldn't do it. Could not get a word or a sound to come out my mouth. I'll continue this in the next video. Keep your beard clean.